everybody. Welcome to Delphi Bracketology. This is episode 4. We'd like to thank Rob and Teller for breakfast. We'd like to thank Hoosier Huddle for sponsoring us, and we are ready to bring you an exciting show. Over to you, Gilby.
Thank you, Brian. Like Brian said, this is Delphi Bracketology. This is game day this week. We'll go ahead and get started with our picks with the lightning round. We have 3 in-state schools. First one is Bowling Green at Purdue. Purdue really struggled last week against Virginia Tech in all 3 facets of the game. They're making a change at quarterback this week. Instead of Austin Appleby, they're going with David Blau. But I just don't think it's going to be enough. Bowling Green has the #1 passing offense in the country, led by quarterback Matt Johnson. And I just don't think Purdue's going to be able to keep up with the Falcons scoring-wise.
Bowling Green is a tough MAC team. MAC's got a lot of tough teams this year. Bowling Green has a terrific offense. I like Bowling Green in this one over Purdue.
Our next game is Indiana at Wake Forest. The Hoosiers are off to a good 3-0 start, thanks to 3 come-from-behind wins in the second half at home. This week will be their first road test at Wake Forest. Wake Forest's quarterback, though, is in doubt. He might not play. So I think that's going to be a benefit to the Hoosiers. And I think Indiana gets a big road win and starts the season off 4-0.
Yeah, 2 Power 5 schools going at it this week. IU has a true road test this week at Wake Forest. I like IU in this one.
And then our last game in the lightning round, Notre Dame is hosting UMass, the Minutemen. Notre Dame had a huge win last week against Georgia Tech, and they're playing without some starters still, starting running back, starting quarterback. They'll have a lot easier time this week against the Minutemen, I think. Notre Dame should win big.
That they will. I like Notre Dame pulling away early this one.
All right, we will be joined by Mr. Kyle Klein on location this week down in Florida. He's on a beach somewhere in Florida. He will be at the Tennessee and Florida game later this week. So, Mr. Klein, welcome.
Hey guys, thanks for having me this week. Pretty excited to be part of the Delphi Bracketology Game Day. As you can tell, I'm already here down at Game Day. The weather looks great, beautiful, and the only problem is I forgot my sunscreen. So, Mr. Tonton, you're going to need to send me some ASAP. Back to you guys.
All right, thank you, Mr. Klein. We'll go ahead and start with our next slate of games on the docket. Our first one is Utah at Oregon. Oregon's defense has struggled mightily the first 3 games of this season, and they do have to face a tough runner in Devontae Booker from Utah. But Alton Stadium is a very tough place to play, and I think Oregon still has that high-powered offense, and that's just going to be too much for the Utes. I see Oregon winning at home.
Yeah, Utah running back Devontae Booker, tough runner to bring down. Vernon Adams is in question with the broken finger this week. I like Utah getting the upset this week at Oregon.
I think this is going to be a really tough game. It's going to be one of the best games to watch this week. Utah is 3-0 and Oregon is 2-1. So my thoughts is it's going to be real close throughout the game. Oregon's offense is just stellar, even though they're probably going to be playing without their quarterback, Vernon Adams Jr. Their backup, Jeff Locke, he's actually backed up more things than my Google Drive. So he may have a little difficulty this week, even though last week he led the Ducks to a 61-28 win over some no-name college from somewhere else. So if Devontae Booker for the Utes can get on a roll, I think Oregon's defense might have some difficulty with him, but they are playing at Oregon, and I still just got to go with the Ducks in a barn burner, 56-52. Ducks.
Our next game is Oklahoma State at Texas, a Big 12 matchup. Texas lost a heartbreaker at home last week after making a huge comeback, only to miss an extra point in the final minutes of the game that would have tied it. Oklahoma State ranked in the top 25 this week, but I think the Longhorns will pull off the upset at home. I think they have a little bit to prove after last week's loss.
Mason Rudolph coming into the season was considered one of the best quarterbacks in the Big 12, a potential dark horse for the Heisman. I like Oklahoma State beating Texas at Texas this week.
Oklahoma State's 3-0. Texas is 1-2, one of the poorest starts under the Charlie Strong era and maybe any Texas era. Oklahoma State's actually coming off a 69-14 win over San Antonio, University of Texas San Antonio, UTSA, something along those lines. They averaged 42 points and only give up 11.7. That's pretty stellar defense. Texas actually scores 30 and gives up more. They give up 37 points. They came off of a 1-point loss to Cal last week off of a missed extra point. Not sure who does that anymore these days, but they do. So I got to go. I got to go with Oklahoma State. I just think they're going to run the ball all over Texas, and Texas just isn't going to be able to keep up.
All right, and our last game of this round is a big one, UCLA at Arizona. College game day is in Tucson this weekend for the game, so the Wildcat fans will be excited. The Wildcats may also get the return of star linebacker Scooby Wright. If he does return, that will really boost that Arizona defense against a very good UCLA team led by the freshman quarterback, Josh Rosenhall. So I believe if they do get Scooby Wright back, I feel like the Wildcats an upset. If they don't have Scooby Wright, I think UCLA will be too much.
Scooby Wright or no, I think UCLA's offense is too much for the Wildcats. Arizona's offense won't be able to keep up with Josh Rosen. I like UCLA.
I have to go with the Wildcats. I mean, they have a high-flying offense. It's averaging 54 points a game. UCLA is averaging 33. Now, UCLA does have a pretty stellar defense. It's only giving up 14 points a game. I guess that little cameo by Diddy earlier in the preseason and the whole kettlebell incident might have helped shape up the defense for the Bruins. This is going to be college game day, and if I had $61 and $43 for a ticket, I would probably end up and actually head out there to Arizona because it's going to be a stellar game with two great teams. I still got to go with the home team here. I hate to go against the Bruins because that was my alma mater in high school, Blackford Bruins. So I'm going to go with the Wildcats, and it's probably going to be a pretty solid game. We'll say maybe 32-27.
And our marquee game this week is Tennessee at Florida, which Mr. Klein has the privilege of being down in Florida covering this week. Florida is off to a good start, 3-0. They did get a big SEC win on the road last week at Kentucky. Their offense has struggled at times this year. The defense is full of future NFL players all over the place on the board. And it looks like they have finally settled on a quarterback. Quarterback Will Greer played the entire game last week after splitting time the first two games. Tennessee bounced back last week with a big win over Western Kentucky after a tough loss against Oklahoma at home the week before. But Tennessee has lost to Florida 10 times in a row, and I think at some point that becomes that mental block, and I think that happens this week, and Florida gets a nice win in the Swamp.
I think Tennessee still feels like they have something to prove coming off the Oklahoma game a couple weeks ago. I don't think they feel like beating Western Kentucky is enough. I think they come into the Swamp and beat the Gators.
All right, last game we got Tennessee versus Florida here. And I'm thinking that Tennessee is probably the more talented team. Their only loss this year for their 2-1 season is a fourth quarter collapse against Oklahoma Sooners when they had a 17-point lead earlier in the game and then just kept losing it throughout the fourth quarter. Florida is doing better this year, but with the more talent that Tennessee has, the Volunteers have, I think Tennessee has a good chance. But they are going into the Dirty Swamp with the Gator Chomp, so it's going to be a tough game. I believe that Tennessee's lost 10 straight down the Swamp against Florida. Last week, though, Florida only beat Kentucky 14-9. Sounds more like a baseball score than a football score to me, but that was the final score. In this case, I'm going to have to go with Tennessee with a 20-14 win over those smelly Gators.
All right, thank you for joining us with Delphi Bracketology and our picks this week. I'll go ahead and throw it back to you, Mr. Tonsoni.
Thanks, panel. Thanks, Gilby. Mr. Klein, be safe coming back from Florida. That is Delphi Bracketology, Episode 4. We're always looking for suggestions. We want some people standing behind us and signs and everything. Let us know how you feel. Enjoy your college football Saturday.